What's going on, everybody? Keith here. Um, I'm doing another live video. What I'm about to tell you guys, you have to please understand I don't script anything. I tell it as it comes to my mind. So there's some stuff that I may or may not cover, or I say I'm going to cover it, and then I get off on a tangent. So just keep that in mind. I do not have a desktop. I have this small tablet type thing here at the house. I do not have video editing. You get me raw as I am. I've mentioned that in the past with airsoft, and you have to understand, guys, I've been dealing with airsoft for almost 15 years. Okay, and back in the day, I got away from it for a while, but back in the day, I was predominantly gas blowback pistols and gas blowback rifles, and I still am, because I got into airsoft as a reason to train with what my everyday carry was at the time, and my defensive rifle. And it was a way to save money. And then I found out, hey, I can tinker with these daggone things just like I can my real rifle. That's kind of cool. So then I got deeper into it. Airsoft and real steel. I use the term real steel because that's what most airsofters call it. Basically, gun enthusiasts. Us old farts. This is a bridge that definitely needs to be built. Okay? And during my time with the airsoft thing, I was dealing with a lot of younger kids, and they start following one particular YouTuber over another, and they start buying into things, and then you start watching all these reviews. And many of you know it. If you watch these reviews, they parrot what they've heard somewhere else. You got some guy doing an unboxing, which, look, I don't have a problem with it. It's kind of entertaining because I'm going to mention C7 Viper. This guy's a breath of fresh air. I also want to give a shout out to Airsoft Zealot. If you know these guys, direct them over to my channel, because Airsoft Zealot, when I was watching him open a Mirror Tactical Mystery Box, he pulls out an AR and he goes, "Oh, that's a nice looking AR." M4 didn't come out of his mouth. I'm like, wait, what? He picked up a regular knife to open his box. He didn't spend 3 minutes talking about this mystery box and how his wife or this, that, or the other, and there wasn't a whole lot of like to try to be funny. But C7 Viper is funny. There's a difference between being funny and trying to be funny. That cat's funny. So I will start opening up these live videos, and I'm going to borrow heavily from him and say, happy birthday. Because hopefully we will get to a point where there's someone out there that has a birthday today. I don't know who you are. You know who you are. So if I say, hey, happy birthday, I'm talking to you. Okay, eventually you'll watch one of my videos on your birthday. What we're going to do is we're going to start doing a lot of different stuff, and I want to take this channel and build a bridge between real steel and airsofters. We've discussed in a couple of videos what it is about real steel guys and veterans and what they do not like about airsoft. There's this guy's a former Marine, and he talks about stolen valor, and he gives his opinion on airsoft. He says airsoft looks like it's a great sport. He said, but all this stuff for running around pretending to be in combat, and some things I agree with what he said, and some of it I don't. I see it as hero worship. I see it as young kids that have a dream of serving their country, and they can do it a little bit through airsoft, and a lot of future soldiers have come from airsoft. But what I want to do is I want to do away with this divisional gap between airsofters and real steel guys like myself. I want to be able to give you content in my live videos that if you're an airsofter, you can gain something from it. Or if you're a real steel guy, you can gain something from it. And if you're an airsofter looking to go real steel, it'll appeal to you. And if you're real steel looking for training, it'll appeal to you. This is a whole new outlook on this sport. And it's going to be a monumental task. I just got off the phone with a couple of nice guys at Mirror Tactical, and I've sent out emails to Fox Airsoft. And I mean, let's face it, would I like to do these videos for Airsoft GI and EVIC? Probably, but they don't need me. And I'm not saying that Mere Tactical needs me. Nobody needs me. Maybe my kids. My dog definitely needs me. The Bounce. You guys will eventually meet The Bounce. He's a 13-year-old, big, heavy, fat beagle with all kinds of wrinkles. Sweetest dog ever. But I got in contact with these places because they're smaller shops. I've been watching some of their videos. I've been studying some of their business models. I am a college graduate with a degree in marketing, okay? So when I come at you and I say, well, they're just trying to get your money. You don't need all these fancy dancy things with, you're paying extra couple $100 for a trademark. If you want to, bro, rock it. You know, it's your money. Do what you want. I'm just trying to say that you don't have to. Where you should spend your money, where you can spend your money, where you'll get more for what money you spend. Mere Tactical seems like some really cool folks from what I've talked to them. And when I get this other room set up with a computer in there and a microphone and everything, to where we can do these weekly lives. And for right now, we're just spacing them here and there. Whenever I'm watching TV or something hits me, I'll come on live. But we'll get more of a schedule down pat for it. So it's more of a controlled chaos, if you will, if chaos can be controlled. And we'll start getting into this. We'll start taking phone calls. We'll start taking live chats. And maybe I can get into this Discord thing that you guys talk about. I'm looking to do that too. If some of you guys have any ideas how I can do cheap or free podcasting, let me know and help me get it set up. I'm a 54-year-old combat vet, you know. My technology is this and this. And yes, sir, no, sir. That's my technology. So there's some stuff that I just don't know. So you'll have to bear with me. Let me get me a pause that refreshes. A little bit of the Diet Dew, hair of the dog. So this is my everyday carry. This is a SIG P320 X-Carry Spectre. Okay. I actually have two everyday carries. Well, more or less three. Glock 19, which I don't carry as much as I do this one. And another one that we're going to talk about that is the balls. Okay? And it comes from failure. Anything that's worth having comes from failure. Everything great has a history of failure behind it. And it's whether or not you're an innovator, an entrepreneur, and you can push through the failures. You have to go through the failures before you can learn the successes. And I have to say, at one time, Taurus was a pain in Smith & Wesson's ass when it came to revolvers. There's still a serious competitor in my book for Smith & Wesson and revolvers. They just had a hard time with semi-automatic pistols. They've gone through the growing pains, and now they came out with the Taurus G2, which is supposedly like a Glock 19 size, and then they came out with the G2C, which is kind of Glock 19-ish. It's a little bit bigger than a SIG 365, a little bit bigger than a 365 XL, but it's really close to the SIG P320. And this is the Taurus G3C. There was a lot of things on the Taurus G3C, G2 that just sucked, okay? The trigger was one of them. The girl has one. She has a G2, and or a G2C, I think. She likes it. I never liked the trigger. So let's safe this thing. Okay. So if you take this gun, I'm going to put this mag back in. We're not going to charge it because I got to do it for the size comparison. If you look at it in comparison to the P320, there's your width. You can tell the width is almost dead on the same. Okay, so no problems there. If you carry a SIG P320, you're already used to that thickness. When you put the two side by side, you're off maybe the difference between a 19 and a 17. But this is more of a 19 length because this is more of a 19 length. So you're just a little bit smaller than the 19. And if you look at the grip, there's not even a quarter of an inch. There's not even an eighth of an inch in the front, and probably a quarter inch at the back. Okay. This gun borrows heavily from two firearms manufacturers. One, it borrows heavily from Glock. And when I say that, it takes Glock 19 sights. Okay, this Glock still puts polymer sights on. This company gives you steel. I'm not a real fan of the sights, but I know I can put different ones on there and steel sights and be in good shape. Another thing it derives from Glock is the shape, size, and location of the slide release. And it borrows from Sig Sauer, okay? Let me show you that. Over here is a buddy of mine's magazine. How it got my range back, I don't know. This is a Pro Mag. No, it's not. I take that back. This is a Metgar made for SIG. This goes in his 226, and it's set up for a 40 cal or 357 SIG, okay? You can load a 40 cal mag with 9mm, but you may have some feeding issues. Here's the thing. Check this out. It runs off of 226 magazines. How awesome is that? If you go to like a Gun Mag Warehouse or someplace like that, and they don't have the Taurus mags that you want, but they've got the Pro Mags at probably about whatever. Look, it's a roll of the dice with the Pro Mag. I'll tell you that from the beginning. There's some things I can comment on out of pure knowledge, and it's the fact that some Pro Mag mags suck. Some of them, you get a stellar one, you never know. So I just don't mess with Pro Mags. I really don't in any platform because it's too big of a roll of the dice. But there you go. Sig Sauer Metgar mags for the 226 will run in this one. 226 mags, they're plentiful. They might be a little high, but they're plentiful. So it borrows from SIG. Another thing that this gun borrows from Glock is the takedown. I don't like the takedown. I'm going to tell you why, okay? All the years that I've messed with firearms, I never made a mistake. One time. Okay, we're going to cover that. My dad, God rest his soul, was in the hospital. He was on his last days. And I had a customer bring me a Glock 22 in 40 cal. He said he couldn't get it to eject. Something was going on with it. I pulled out the mag, I racked it, nothing came out. The one time in 30 some odd years that I did not look down the barrel, I know it's not an excuse. I really shouldn't have been messing with guns that day because my mind wasn't on what I was doing. I was worried about losing my father. And I go to pull the trigger to hit the takedown. There was one in the pipe. Okay, now take a good hard look at that now. From here all the way up to here. But the bullet did not touch the skin. When I did the takedown, I did that, and I had it like that, right? It traveled about that close to my skin. So you had the concussion and the heat and everything coming from that bullet, and it just unzipped me across my arm, clean to the bone. It just said, it didn't hurt. The only time it hurt was when the doctor started to try to stick it with a needle to numb it, to stitch me up. And I was a real trooper because I didn't cry. I didn't want anybody to think I was weak, you know. And he told me, he said, I had a guy in here last week was cleaning a 22 and shot himself in the thigh, and you'd thought he was dying. screaming and hollering. He said, man, you're tough. No, I'm not. I just don't want you to think I'm weak. So, but lesson learned, a hard lesson learned. I don't care how long you've been dealing with guns. I don't care if you're a freaking Navy SEAL, ex-Navy SEAL. You will make a mistake. You will. It's not a matter of if, it's when and how damn bad it's going to be. Okay? But I can tell you that right there moved me up to a new level. It can happen. It will. Just be careful. So, we're going to take this gun down. The trigger's been depressed. Okay, it comes off just like a Glock. Now take a look on the inside. The trigger bar is very similar to Glock. The rail blocks are very similar to Glock. The barrel, the recoil rod is very similar to Glock. I'm going to change this from a polymer to a steel rod. Okay. There's your little business pipe right there. I wish that they had made this black. So I'm either going to buy a black one or I'm going to take it to a buddy of mine and say, hey, do me a favor, dude. Cerakote this for me, would you? Because this is going in Patriot Brown. Okay. Did Cerakote for a long time. Just ran out of the love for it, you know. It was a lot of work. If you look down here, your striker assembly, just like a Glock. So they've borrowed very heavily from Glock technology and Sig Sauer technology to come up with this little gun. I'm going to tell you, pound for pound, ounce for ounce, this gun is a hell of a buy. You can find them at the right retailer for around 220 bucks out the door. Most of them around $350 out the door. And it comes with 3 mags. What? It's extremely accurate. It's very well made. If you can tell that polymer, look how thick that polymer is. It's just a very well made gun. I even hate to call it a budget gun. And that's what they market it as a budget gun. And I mean, they've just like that voodoo that you do, you know. So I really highly suggest if you want a good personal defense gun, this right here is a damn good choice. I'd stay away from the G2s and the G2Cs because the triggers were crap. This trigger is awesome. You can tell you come back, you got that little dingus right there for the safety like a Glock. You got all this travel, right there's the wall. And you push through. It's probably about, I'd say 5-6 pounds. I want to change this and lighten this up a little bit and go with a flat face trigger just because I like them. But I shoot it well. You've got the thumb indentation there. You've got the off finger for the lefties over here. And you can set up and you can wrap it around like you're supposed to. And you got all these 2 divots. It's a great gun for the money. It's unreal. So I'm also carrying this now every day. You know, I just rotate them when I don't want to carry a bigger gun. And is it fair to call this a bigger gun? In all intents and purposes, it looks like a bigger gun, doesn't it? But when you get them side by side, it's simply not. The proof is in the pudding. It's only probably about 3/8 longer than this one. And like I said, 1/8 at the front, 1/4 at the back on the grip. And you're getting 12 in 1. So you're getting 12 in the mag, 1 in the pipe. You can put on one of the Surefire mini lights. There's companies that make replacement slides that are RMR cut, so you can put your optic on it. It's great. I mean, if you think about it, you're not paying this gun $1,100 before this and before this. This, $459. This, $150. Mags, $50 a piece. So, and this one comes with 2, I think. And this is one of their custom works. So, I just love Sig Sauer. I've loved them since the beginning. I can't get over them. I just love them. Let's see. It seats, but doesn't grip. That's that 226 mag. So now, let's talk about this bridging of the gap now that we've talked about these guns. Oh, one more thing. See, I almost did it. If you'll notice, check it again. If you'll notice, that's racked. So you got that first shot. Let's say you're shooting something, some cheap, dirty ammo. Okay, and then I'll tell you why that Glock hurt me. If it doesn't go off and you got hard primers, you just let go and you take that shot on it again. You can keep doing it until that primer sets that round off. Then it'll rack back and it'll load the new one. That is a cool feature. Okay, now let me finish with that topic of this. Glock uses MIM, which is a low-end pot metal, and they mold it to make their extractor. Their extractor, this is an extractor right here. This is what's grabbing that case by the back of the rim and pulling it and taking it out of the barrel and ejecting it out. This guy had used primarily in this gun, and it was a well-used gun. He'd shot it a lot. Wolf, steel-cased, poly, whatever that crap is, coated ammo. Because why? Because it's like $6 a box. That's why. That's all good and fine. But if you think about it, that extractor in that gun is getting hot. The more you use it, it heats up. The extractor heats up. The casing is heated up. And when you heat metal, it gets weaker. That's how you cut metal, by superheating it and forcing high pressure gas to cut a line. Is it going to get that hot? No. But when you go through about a 400, 500 round range day with this gun, and it's made out of pot metal, it stands to reason that that ejector is going to get some wear. And what it was, that thing, by the time I got myself stitched up and got things situated and I was in my right head and I was dealing with Dad, when I got the gun apart, it was as slick as ice. It had eaten down that extractor till it was not taking anything out of the barrel. Now, that guy should have taken a cleaning rod, opened that action out, and pushed that round out. He knew it was in there, but he didn't tell me it was in there, but it's still my fault because I didn't look. But the first thing you should do with any Glock when you buy it is get rid of that crappy extractor. Go get a CNC hardened tool steel extractor, especially if you're going to run steel cased ammo. I don't run steel cased ammo. I don't care how cheap it is. I know that my Colts can handle it, but I won't shoot it. Now, if I find it when it hits the fan and I need ammo, yeah, I'm going to shoot it. But am I going to buy it and carry it? No, I am not. Mainly, this taught me a serious lesson. I'm especially not going to carry it in something that I don't know what the extractor's made out of. But that is the reason. That's steel cased ammo. And I've had people tell me, oh, that's not the... What else could it be? I mean, like I told you before in another video, there's no free lunch in physics. What else could it be? You keep taking things down until you're finally left with the evidence and the truth to know this is what this was. You like my cup? It's got Glock on it. Check that out. That's what I do with my stickers. But get rid of the crappy trigger in a Glock. Put a Timney in it. Rise. Anybody makes a good trigger. Look, don't go polishing these trigger bars. Okay? When you polish these trigger bars, these things are designed. There is a very small trigger sear in there that's holding that extractor back when you've got one chambered and it's in your holster. You go polishing it to where it's not holding it that well, you could have a negligent discharge by jarring it. You're taking away from it. So when people start saying that they dropped their SIG 320 and it went off, I would like to see them take it apart and see if they've been doing any dinkering around with that trigger bar. There are trigger bars that are set up and designed by scientists and manufacturers to give you that feel of a lighter trigger without dinkering with that sear. Now, you take that same guy that's dinkered with his sear, and now he's carrying it in the front of his pants. Appendix. What? Look, I'll just call it like it is. IMO. You guys will get used to that over a period of time. In my opinion, IMO. The guy's an idiot. He's an idiot. You're already breaking basic firearm rules. Don't point your gun at anything that you're not intending to destroy. Are you telling me that you want to shoot your pecker off and your balls? Or miss your pecker and balls and shoot yourself in your femoral artery and bleed out in 5 minutes because you can't get help because you're out the range and you have no signal? Or do you want to shoot your pecker or your balls and your femoral artery so you can look cool because Chris Costa says that's the newest way to do? Let me tell you why they say that's the newest, coolest way to do it. They tell you this because that person, whether it be Chris Costa or anybody else, is making money from the companies that sell the holsters. If they can get that guy with his name power to say this is the way to do it, this is the cool way to do it, you're going to go out and get an appendix holster, and you're going to want to start carrying appendix. Even if you're a semi-chubby guy or skinny guy, you put this gun, especially this gun, appendix, and you sit down, you've got less than 1/4 of an inch, and that's cramming right into your freaking, what I call your pre-pecker, that little soft patch where the hair grows. It hurts. Gangbangers did it in movies. They thought, man, maybe if we can get these guys to do this, we can come up with this appendix holster. We can sell a bunch of them, and they did. There are plenty of things on the internet to tell you what happened to people who carried appendix. You're putting, even this SIG, which I say is a stellar gun, stellar manufacturing, stellar design, everything. They do everything they can to prevent from having a negligent discharge. It is a machine, people. It's a machine that is created by a human being. Maybe a human being that put this gun together the day after New Year's, hung over, or possibly went and smoked the devil's lettuce on his lunch break, and he's putting this gun together. You've got this striker under spring pressure floating right in front of a primer, and you're going to shove it down the front of your pants, inside the waistband, anywhere on your body. You might get away with it because I carry mine at 5 o'clock, right over my back pocket. When I sit down, that gun naturally wants to do like this. I got a better chance of the bullet going into the seat. I'm still going to get wounded. That bullet didn't touch my skin. The compression and the fire coming off the barrel busted my skin and unzipped me. It don't have to touch your skin. Okay? I carry outside the waistband at the 5 o'clock. I used to carry inside the waistband. I don't do it anymore. And you're going to have people saying, oh, Keith, you're going to be the first person shot in a mass shooting. Okay, look, let's dispel that right now. If you're carrying one of these guns every day, it is your moral liability, because you can't call a round back. Once it's fired, you can't call it back. You're not Obi-Wan Kenobi or Anakin Skywalker. You can't go, whoo, whoosh, that was bad. You are liable for that round, okay? And it gets expensive all the way up until, quite possibly, if they can prove it, death penalty. Why do that? I'm telling you from the former law enforcement, and I've worked in jails. If you ask a career criminal, hey, if you go into 7-Eleven with the intention to rob it and you see a guy standing there with a gun on his hip, what are you going to do? Every time I've asked that question to these inmates, you know what they told me? I'm going to go back out and wait for that dude to leave. I want to be able to go in there, flash my gun, get what I want, and get out without getting hurt. That's the whole point. I've had some of them being very human criminals. I don't want to kill nobody. I just want to flash the gun and scare them a little bit. Hopefully I don't have to shoot nobody to get my $50 and a pack of cigarettes out of that door. Every criminal I've ever talked to has answered that question the same way. If you're walking into a building and you have a gun on your hip, well, there's also horror stories that people stand in line behind them have removed their holster, their gun. I read one the other day. A guy walked up behind a guy in a Quick Mart, pulled his gun out of his holster, held up the store, laid it on the counter, and ran out with the money. This guy felt like a dupe, right? So if you're going to have a holster, have a retention holster. Have a double, triple retention. Train with it so only you can get it out. If somebody grabs a hold of that weapon, cap their hand and sit down on them. Your body fulcrum that's what's going to happen. Truth of the matter is, there's absolutely no 100% way that you're going to be a victor every time. There is something in having to defend yourself with and carry a gun. There's always a caveat where it can go bad. Always. Always. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're Jerry Miculek. If I'm in like our local like gas station thing down here, Speedway. If I'm in Speedway and I'm in line and I've been waiting for a while and I got a gun on my hip and some shady dude, and trust me, I watch every person in that building. I am that paranoid. Okay? Somebody gets behind me, I say, oh, dude, damn, I forgot my pop. Go ahead. And then I'll go in through the store and wait for that line to die down, and then I'll get in line. Preventative thinking. That's part of carrying a gun. You have to constantly be one step ahead. What could happen? What's probable to happen? Maybe it won't happen. Are you willing to take that chance? You're carrying a deadly weapon. So it's up to you to keep your eyes open when you're carrying a gun. There is a certain liability that you assume in carrying a gun legally and being a legal gun carrier. Here's the guys I hate. Hate's a strong word. Guys I dislike are the tactical dudes. People say, oh, I like that tactical patch. I love this tactical pouch that you carry your cigarettes and your lighter and your pen in. I love your tactical Mountain Dew glass. Hey, did you see that commercial where that guy's showing that big bright lantern that the Navy SEALs use? That tactical lantern? Tactical is one of the most overused words in the English language, especially today. Tactical is not your boots, it's not your hat, it's not your shirt, it's not your pants, it's not even your damn rifle. Tactics are the plan and the execution of that plan. Tactics is LAPD SWAT. They train. We got a single family home. We got one shooter in the front, one in the back. They never make entry unless they know what's going on in that house. One of their tactics is to get somebody close and put one of those little cameras up through the air conditioner vent in the floor so they can get a view, plus with their sniper, what they call their high ground, telling them, okay, well, you got a bad guy, you got a tango in this room on the east side back corner, there's 3 people, one guy with a shotgun, blah, blah, blah. Then they say, okay, well, they go out to their vehicle, their TOC, which is the military term, Tactical Operations Center, and it's, okay, this is what we got. Intel shows this, 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 and this. How are we going to do it without firing a shot and saving a human life? They come up with a plan. They execute that plan. That's tactics. The clothes you wear to do it doesn't make a damn bit of difference. Whether you got these patches hanging off of you, whether you're in 5'11" pants. Guilty. I wear 5'11" pants. I wear tactical shoes because I like them. I live in them. And if you want to do it like Nothing Fancy says is a second kind of cool, and you say, oh, I'm just doing it because I like it. All right, dude, rock on. I have no problem. I'm fully on board with that. Guilty. You got guys that will carry inside the waistband at Applebee's. You can't see the gun. He's so worried that he's going to print. But he's got on a T-shirt that says, Moan Lob, come and take it. Don't tread on me. Door kicker, Major League door kicker. What's that tell a criminal? That guy's got a gun. If you go into a residential district and you see this big super nice house and it's got this ADT protection sign and everything else and the ground is manicured, there could be a gun there. Chances are there's not. Or there's one there that nobody knows how to use. You go to somebody's house and you see a motor in the car, a motor sitting on the front porch and a car up on blocks and a John Deere tractor and trash sitting on the front porch, a gun lives there. A gun lives there. Walk away, you know? Look, you can say carrying no gun on the outside of your waistband is stupid because it points you out as being armed. Your clothes do too. So if you're really going to carry concealed, don't wear the tactical clothing. You're advertising. Just like Nothing Fancy said in a video I watched last, it's advertising. And it is. So if you're going to carry inside the waistband, at least do it the right way. If you're going to wear all the tactical stuff like I do sometimes, carry it on the outside. I don't care. Look, if you're two women, and I'm call this from being a cop, you got two good-looking women walking down the street on a deserted night. It's a real nice night out. One of them's got a Glock on her hip and the other one doesn't. Doesn't mean that the other one that's not showing a gun doesn't have one in her purse, or that she doesn't have it inside the waistband and concealed. Who you think that criminal's going to go after? He's going to go after the one without the gun. It's like a lion. He's going after the zebra that limps, the smoker zebra. Then you got the squealer zebra. I don't know if you know this or not, but old Floyd over there, he's a smoker. You know, because he wants to save his own ass. So they're going to go after the easier prey. And chances are they won't even go after him because she's with a girl that's showing a gun. There's other people out there they can go rob. There's better opportunities out there that they can go rob. Then you've got the person who's just a straight up crackhead on bath salts and it don't matter. That's the contingency that scares me the most. Just a regular criminal out to make a quick buck, they're not going to mess with me with that gun on my hip. If they're smart. So that's why I say everything that you can throw at me is a reason why you would want to carry inside the waistband. I've got a comeback for it. A logical comeback for it. That's based out of fact, scientific fact. So, God, whatever you do, don't shoot your dick off, man. Excuse my French. I've been in a real worldly way. I love Jesus. I'm saved and I've ministered to people, but sometimes I get a little worldly mouth on me. Don't shoot your manhood off. Let's put it that way. Let's clean it up a little bit. Now, let's talk about the guys like Nothing Fancy, to borrow what he said because it was brilliant. Your gear must be Fallujah ready. Why? Are you going to Fallujah? I can't tell you how many intense gun battles and door-to-door gun battles and casualties that have happened on the streets of Prestonsburg, Kentucky in my 54 years of life. Whew, awful. You're not going to get in a gun battle, okay? You're just not. Chances are you don't even have to carry 10 of these. I got 12 rounds in here. Sometimes I carry an extra mag because it's what I'm used to. It's what I was taught. If you know how to shoot your chosen gun, and there's a lot of guys that'll go out and buy a gun, they'll buy all the tactical stuff. They may have shot it one time, if they've shot it at all. Don't do that. Do you have to go to a high-priced school to learn how to be a good shooter? No. Just look up what are the fundamentals of shooting. Go to the range and practice it. You can teach yourself how to shoot. You know, my dad was in Vietnam, infantryman in Vietnam. He taught me how to shoot. Then I went in the military, and they taught me how to shoot even better. With a handgun, I suck. I do okay. I can defend myself. I will put you down. But with a rifle, I'll pat myself on the back. I'm pretty good with a rifle. I'm no tier 1 operator. Maybe tier 10. Tier 11. Jobo Bacon. Going back to it hits the fan. You got these guys, and there's two different trains of thought. You got these guys that are into long range, and these guys are into reloading their long range, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you think when it hits the fan that you're going to be the next Chris Kyle, and you're going to engage targets out to a quarter of a mile, you could. Why wouldn't you? It's called picking your battles. Now, let's say it hits the fan tomorrow. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my bug out bag with my medications and what food I've got. And I'm going to take my family up on the mountain into a place I have. And I'm going to sit up there with a pair of binoculars, look down on town, and watch these people eat themselves. I'm not getting myself mixed up in that because it's going to be horrible for the first 4 or 5 days. So you say, first thing I'm going to do is hit the pharmacy. You know how many people have said the first thing they're going to do is hit the pharmacy? There's going to be hundreds of people try to hit that pharmacy. So they're going to have to hit the guy that they're like, why is he hitting it? I thought that was only my idea. No, If you're going to do something like that, the best thing to do is to be about 100 yards off with the perimeter of your people. And the dude that wins the pharmacy war, he's like, I got it. I got it. I got it. Guess what? Hey, dude, what's in the bag? Take it from him then. Don't get yourself involved in a bad situation. What's the use of having all this medical stuff that you're only going to have to use half of it to fix yourself because you picked a fight that you didn't need to fight? If you're sitting and you've got yourself, and we're talking about end times here, we're talking about the rule of law has collapsed. It's man eat man, okay? God forbid. I hope Jesus comes and takes me before that. And if they do, then look me up, because that's where you're going to find the ammo and the stuff. I won't need it. All right? My family's not going to need it. But are you going to take a shot on some dude 200 yards away? You don't even know if he's carrying anything you need. You don't even know if he's a bad guy. It may be a guy that you want to be friends with, that you want on your side. Are you such a monster that you're just going to reach out for a quarter of a mile and pop some dude in the head and get out there and find he's got one pack of snowballs, one Twinkie, and a half a pack of cigarettes and one mag of ammo? Why? Why are you going to take a chance of starting a firefight that you are not 100% guaranteed to come out of? I don't even care if it's Chris Kyle or Chris Costa or any of the Jesse Ventura or Rambo. There's no guarantee, folks. These people do not exist. They are human beings. They may have training, but they will tell you from the word go, combat is an ugly thing. Been there, done it. It's scary. It's ugly. Why can't people just get along with each other? Why can't we? Why can't we just sit at a table and come up with some other reason or some other way other than killing another human being? A person's got one life to live and you're going to take it. It just doesn't make any sense. And our kids are playing these Call of Duty video games. Let me tell you something. Nothing pisses me off more than to walk through the house and see my boys and their buddies and, woohoo, throw that grenade, I got this gun, da-da-da. There's nothing romantic about war. It's ugly. It's horrific. You don't have thousands of rounds of ammo. You don't just go and respawn. You're hit, that's it, you're dead, you're out. That's life. Why do they romanticize that? I mean, it's something that as Americans, we've had to do since the founding of this country. We didn't necessarily want to go die. There's boys that died in Vietnam. There's guys that died out in Iraq and Afghanistan. They didn't want to go die. They had to, because the other guy just wasn't going to listen. This is the horrific thing of war. So if you're safe and you're in your little compound and your family's safe, and you're watching a perimeter through your sniper scope, that's fine. That's what you want to do. But in history, who was the guy that said in the War of 1812, don't fire till you see the whites of their eyes? Battle of Louisiana or New Orleans? Old Hickory, I think they called him. If you're going to take a shot on a guy, let's say they're coming into your position and they're going to be there. You can sit there and say, okay, at the rate they're moving, they'll probably be here within half an hour. That means you got 30 minutes to decide, are you going to batten down, or do you have enough time to gather your stuff and move further away so they don't find you? Okay, that's the decision-making time. And if they get within 100 yards, they don't know you're there yet, light them up, and get ready for a fight. Do you need these 4-foot-long Glock mags? No. Do you need Beta C mags? No. Do you need P-mag drums? No. Who wants to cart all that stuff around on their weapon? This shit's heavy. If you're sitting in your compound, you got a foxhole or a trench dug, or you're on your wall, and you know hell's coming, then yeah, throw it in there. Mind your barrel heat. Watch your trigger discipline. That's what that stuff is good for. But to hump around with it every day? No. Guarantee you'll only do it for a couple of minutes and you're going to be like, this sucks. All the stuff that you put, and nothing fancy, everybody else to include me. Ounces equal pounds, pounds equal pain. If you've got a 9mm or a 5.56 pistol build, 10.5-inch barrel or shorter, and you're at the range, that concussion is going to hit other people. It's a pain in the ass. And it's loud, like a dragon fart loud, like a T-Rex burping loud. PWS makes a CQB 5.56 compensator. It's very lightweight that you can put on the front that puts all the sound in the compression downrange. So they've got a patent on that. So other companies are like, oh, wow, that works. We need to come up with something like that. They can't make it that light. They can't make it out of that material because there's a patent on it. So they have to make it heavier or change the dimensions. Now you've got all that weight on the front of your gun. So if you're running a heavy light, heavier than what it needs to be, heavier than what it needs to be optic, a C-mag, a drum mag, a toilet paper dispenser, a bayonet, and God knows what else. Oh, God. Or a GoPro on your gun. What good are you doing yourself? It's too heavy. So if you're going to have heavy, I suggest get a heavy profile barrel, spin the weight there, put that lighter weight CQB on the front, because it definitely, it's a weight, I think it's like 20 some ounces, a little bit more. No, it ain't even that. It ain't even that. It's not even a pound. I can't remember. I'll have to Google that and find out how much it weighs. But if you're going to put weight, make sure it's weight that you're going to use and it serves a purpose, and cut down on weight everywhere else so that the weight, you think of yourself as having a weight budget, okay? You don't put it in your budget. What can I live without? What can do this? What can do that? Do without what you can do without. Only put the weight on something that you need and run a lighter system. But you're not in Fallujah. You're not Rambo. You're not the Mark Wahlberg. You're definitely not John Wick. That shit doesn't exist, people. It's fantasy. It's fantasy. You're not going to be. You're going to be finding yourself, unfortunately, at some given point in the future, defending your family and your livelihood from a fixed position. And it's going to be close quarters. You're not, if you're smart, you're not going to be reaching out those distances. I'm sorry. Those guys coming up on your position, you don't know. They might get within 50 yards and be like, oh, this is stupid. Let's turn around and go back. We're not going to find them. But if you shoot them all the way out there, they're going to come a-running. Now you bought yourself a fight. And I hope you got enough medical supplies or enough training or enough knowledge to know how you're going to fight that fight. Because you bought the fight. You got to fight it. And at that point, it's too late to run, because they're going to pick up speed and they're going to eventually catch up with you. That's a fight you're going to have to fight. So use your head. What do I need? What don't I need? You know what? I need to practice what I preach. I got 3 bug out bags in this house. Not to mention my ammo cans and everything else. Logistically, it's going to be hard for me to make a move. So I'm going to have to watch the news and watch what's going on around me to decide when and if I need to bug out of here and protect my family. Because I got a lot of stuff I got to move. The less you have to move, the better off it's going to be. But the stuff I have is what I need. Water purification, clean water to get me there, protein bars to give me the calories I need that I'm going to burn when I'm moving, ammunition, weapons, making sure everybody's on the right sheet of music, having a good tactical plan on how to get from point A to point B. I saw this guy, he has cached stuff along his pre-planned route to where he's going to be. This guy's prepper supreme, yo. He's got like, so he doesn't have to carry everything. He has one lightweight thing. He gets out the door. He gets in the truck. He gets his family. He's driving along. He pulls up his phone. If the phone's working, he's got a map. All right, we need to pull over right here, because get the shovel, dig up 4 more ammo cans, 2 more rifles, and food. Throw it in the truck. Drive. He's getting closer to where he's going to go. Oh, over here. He pulls over and he digs that stuff and he throws it in as he goes. That is brilliant. Brilliant tactical thinking. Unreal tactical thinking. Why didn't anybody else do that? And it's the technology's there. All you got to do is sit there and use your phone while it's working and make a good hard copy map and protect it. Don't tell nobody about it. And you're in good shape. You don't have to pack all that around. I may or may not have my stuff somewhere, but not to that degree. Maybe I need to. But that's the kind of thing that we need to talk about. Do you think the guy that you shoot gives a shit whether or not you shot him with a Daniel Defense MK18 or an Anderson AR-15? He don't give a damn. All he cares about is he got shot. Nobody cares. Nobody cares if it's multicam or if it's half flat dark earth and half green and half brown and all this other stuff. Nobody cares. Because, guys, stuff like this that everybody's worrying about makes no difference. You're doing this to protect yourself. Do you care? Do you need to care? No, you don't. You just don't. And there's no argument that you can give me to say that you do need it. Do you want it? Is it a second kind of cool? There's guns I want. Just because I'm going to shoot them before something like that happens. But you better believe if I've got a $3,000 SCAR, somebody else is going to carry that. That 6920 Colt's going to be slung over my shoulder. That's what I'm carrying. Nobody better lay a finger on my boom ringer. That's all there's to it. That's mine. I don't care how much it costs. I don't care what it says. As long as I know where it's made, who made it, what's in it, and is it capable of doing what I want to do. IMO. I'm a Colt guy. You may not be. It's great. You might be an HK guy, 416. Rock on. That's up to you. But make sure you train with what your personal choice is. You know, you don't have to own every gun there is, and you don't need to trade in guns that you got that you're proficient with because a new thing hit the market. You don't have to. I guess what I'm getting at, when you marry airsoft and the training of a real steel together, you are putting together a relationship that does away with the toxicity that real gunners feel against airsofters and what airsofters look at us and call us elitists. I don't think of myself as an elitist. I'm a realist. It's a game. It's a game. But it's a fun game. And it's stuff that you can use to train with for your other stuff that matters. And once airsofters and real steel guys come together, you might find there's some collaborations there to make airsoft even better than what it is now. And it's made such leaps and bounds in the past 15 years. Blows my mind. You know, stuff that was cutting edge back then, now it's even crazier. You know, I've mentioned it before, high kappas. What? $800 for a high kappa? 12, 13 years ago, people would get a high kappa mystery box, and they just like, I'm trading this off. They didn't like them. They didn't want them. All you heard is, oh, another WE high kappa. This trash. But now that they're coming out with all this other stuff, innovating stuff to where you can take all these parts and put them into this high cap and make it something cool. Now they want $800 for that gun. Blows my mind. Blows my mind. So hopefully what we're going to do is we're going to start getting some airsoft gear. We're going to start doing things can and airsoft optics survive a real steel rifle. I believe it can, as long as there's no electronics involved. The only other thing I can think that would be an issue, like an airsoft ACOG, even a high dollar one, when they put that reticle on that lens, do they do it the same way that Trijicon does? Is it dead center? Is it set up to actually work? And does this one in the production line and this one in the production line and this one in the production line, are they all three getting put together the same way, identical? Or is one of them going to be a little off? This one's going to be dead on. This is going to be a little off in the other direction. That kind of thing. But can it be zeroed? Even if it's a little wonky, I think it can be zeroed. If it'll hold zero, I believe that it will. Because as long as the lenses and everything is built with a build quality that's just not going to shatter and fall apart. On an AR-15, you shouldn't have that problem. Your moving parts are inside the rifle, and there's not a lot of recoil. So once we get this relationship built up with either Mirror Tactical or Fox Airsoft or both, or anybody else out there, if you guys live in a small town that has an airsoft store that you would like to see grow, let me know. We'll shoot them an email, see if they want to come on board with this podcast weekly live thing. I plan on having a lot of information for you guys. If you guys call me and say, hey, man, why won't you just do this? Guess what? If I'm only doing the show once a week, that gives me 4 days, 4 or 5 days to research it to get you the right answer. I'm going to do it. Maybe do some giveaways. Maybe some of these airsoft companies will send us a little extra